220 million in this moment is the market for one of the best players in the world.
£100 million, I don't think he's expensive. Due in Paris to finalise his world record move to Paris Saint-Germain. The French club will pay his £198 million release clause at Barcelona.
€1 bid and now £100 million bid for Coutinho.
Nowadays, football clubs spend astronomical transfer amounts on players. Little of 4 years ago, the idea of Manchester United spending 105 million to re-sign Paul Pogba from Juventus seemed pretty bizarre. But as we know, that world record fee has since been shattered more than once. Just looking at Neymar's 220 million PSG transfer price makes us dazzle at Football Factory. Well, there are also cheaper ways to add talented players to your team. Like for instance, the cost of absolutely nothing. Not even a penny. For many years, Juventus has been seen as the king of free transfer. Though, if we take a look at the most recent seasons, Liverpool and Arsenal have also been able to enjoy some of the best freebies. So, who else would you think will top this list? We can say that the top 3 is pretty crazy. Stay tuned to find out and be ready to expect the unexpected. Without further ado, and amidst the chaos of hundreds of millions, we at Football Factory present to you the top 10 best free transfers in football history. At number 10, we start right off with a fairly unique player. Esteban Cambiasso, also known as Chuchu, is a player who outdid himself not just once, but twice as a free transfer. Back in the early 2000s, he was underused and then overlooked as a Real Madrid player, since the Los Galacticos were searching for slicker names. This was not unnoticed in Milan, and Inter picked him up for nothing in 2004, where he became the key of a team that won 5 Scudetti and the treble in 2010. Then, after a decade in Milan, Cambiasso decided to wear his superhero cape again. He helped save Leicester City from relegation in the season before they won the league. Football fans often talk about manager Nigel Pearson, deserving a huge amount of credit for that miracle, but you can be sure to include Cambiasso with that as well. James Milner. The man who can do it all. He has been a contradiction for the past decade. Some of us at Football Factory would not put him in the first 11 of any team he played in at either Liverpool or Manchester City. But isn't he at the same time one of the most important and widely respected figures at both clubs? We will describe him as the ultimate player whose wide functionality has been the liability of his own reputation. Since moving to Liverpool for free in 2015, Milner has excelled on the wing, as a deep midfielder, as a driving number 8 and in both full-back positions. He hasn't always been first choice, but the lad holds 3 Premier League titles to his set and he even won the Champions League. Number 8. Nicknamed by Ronaldinho as his idol, number 8 on the list is Celtic legend Henrik Larsson. Larsson always seemed to be pretty content that he didn't have to prove himself for something other than Celtic, but after scoring 242 goals in 313 games at Parkhead and with his contract expiring in 2004, he decided he needed a new challenge. This challenge came in the Catalan colors of Barcelona. Larsson played just 2 seasons for Barcelona, where the first season was significantly cut back due to a cruciate ligament injury. Though Larsson and his first season was respected by everyone. With Barca being 1-0 behind, he came on in the 2006 Champions League final against Arsenal and turned the game around with 2 genius assists to land his first European trophy. And he finished his spell at the club with 19 goals in 52 games. So, what legend is next on the list and where do you think he is from? The next legend on the list is the Dutchman Ruud Gullit, who is respectfully called the Black Tulip. He is the 1987 Ballon d'Or and world record transfer holder, referring to his crazy move at that time from PSV to Milan for 18 million guldens, which is around 6 million pounds in that time, in 1987 as well. Moving forward to 1995, we at Football Factory could argue that Gullit's move to Chelsea on a free transfer wasn't all that rewarding. In his 1 year as a player in London, he failed to win anything, and Chelsea even finished 11th, although they did come 6th and 4th and won the FA Cup after he became a player manager in 1996. Gullit's move holds a special place in this list, since his impact was mostly symbolic. It gave a sign that the Premier League now meant business and could attract the best talent from around the world. His arrival influenced a whole generation that came after him. Number 6 on the list, El Maka, aka Steve McManaman. McManaman was perceived quite differently in England and in Spain. At home in England, during his 9 years at Liverpool, everyone perceived him as a skillful but slightly fragile winger. This all changed after his free transfer move to Real Madrid in 1998, where El Maca was considered somehow as a hard-working kind of football player. Someone who would do the running for the more creative players around him. Fulfilling this role made him really loved at Real. And at the time of his departure in 2003, he was the most successful Englishman by trophies to ever play abroad. Why? He had 2 La Liga titles, 2 Champions League wins, and a Spanish and UEFA Super Cup. Crazy! We are moving to the top 5 best free transfers ever. Without spoiling too much, we can say that our number 1 consists of a move that will regret one of the clubs forever. Wondering who this is? Stay tuned with us to the top of the list. For many, the natural logic of football is that the best players will want to play at one of the top clubs, right? Roberto Baggio seemed to be a stranger in our midst. Also known as Il Divin Codino, the divine ponytail, Roberto never really was comfortable at Juventus, Milan and Inter. Still, he did very well, especially at Juventus. At Bologna and Brescia though, where he joined from Milan and Inter on free transfers respectively, he excelled more constantly, enjoyed his most fruitful season for league goals, 22, in his single season with Bologna in 1997 and 98. Baggio defined his legend status even more at Brescia by living out a golden period of his career, playing quite brilliantly for 4 years and scoring 46 goals in 101 games. In all competitions before his retirement, Roberto Baggio is considered one of the top free transfers in history. The whole world is aware of the rivalry between Catalonian Barcelona and Spanish capital club Real Madrid. Players don't often move directly between these rivals. In fact, in the 112-year history of El Clásico, just 33 players have represented both Real Madrid and Barcelona during their playing careers. Out of the 2 major ones who did switch clubs, you could argue that Luis Enrique was more of a success at Barcelona than Luis Figo was at Real Madrid. Why? Well, for a start, Luis Enrique costs less. In fact, 62 million euros less. Luis Enrique, who moved to Camp Nou for absolutely nothing in 1996, won the league twice in what was a pretty moderate Barca side at the standards of what came before and after. And then he went on to manage the club, winning the treble in 2015. Luis Enrique, the man who went from Real Madrid exile towards becoming a Barcelona idol. Named the best single transfer in Premier League's history and at the same time a heinous crime. Well, this is a player who would come through the ranks of captain at Tottenham Hotspur, who would also spend a good old 12 years at the club and left for bitter rivals Arsenal on the expiry of his contract, despite saying many times that he would be staying at the Spurs. The circumstances of Campbell's arrival at Arsenal in 2001 can often hide the real reason that there was such a fuss about it. He was actually one of the best centre-backs in the whole wide world. He helped Arsene Wenger build his own great defense after George Graham's famous backline retired. Campbell spent 5 years at Arsenal the first time, and he won 2 titles and was part of arguably the greatest team the Premier League has ever seen, 2003-04 Invincibles. It was all probably worth the grief in the end. One of the craziest free transfers in history is indirectly caused by Dutchman Mark van Bommel. Of course, he's known to cause heavy damage to midfielders down the years, but accidentally he might have caused the most damage to one of his own. Andrea Pirlo had been injured towards the end of 2010-11 while playing at AC Milan. Though by the time he returned, the tactics had changed to the point where the more tough figure of Van Bommel was favored at the base of their midfield. So when the Milan board would offer him only a 1-year extension where he actually wanted 3 years, Pirlo looked elsewhere, and guess what? Juventus snapped him up. Juventus legend Gianluigi Buffon even called it the signing of the century, and one of his generation's most gifted players. Andrea Pirlo went on to win 4 Scudetti and 3 more cups before moving to the American MLS in 2015. We at Football Factory are convinced that just by looking at Pirlo's nickname given to him by his fellow players of the Italian national team would say a lot about his skills. Quick football quiz. Would you happen to know his nickname we are talking about? If so, leave it at the comments below. Finally, we came to the #1 free transfer in football history. Damn, what a player we are talking about. No one less than one of the best strikers in football history, Robert Lewandowski. The saga of Lewandowski's departure from Borussia Dortmund dragged on for a couple of years. When the Polish striker's agent said in 2013 that he would be leaving when his contract expired a year later, no one, including Robert himself, was really sure about his destination. Bundesliga rivals Bayern Munich had already landed Mario Götze from Dortmund for 37 million euros. But their signing of Lewandowski in the summer of 2014 for nothing is not even coming close. Talking about this rivalry, remember goalkeeper Kahn's famous kung fu kick towards Stéphane Chapuisat in 1990? Well, we do. Anyways, since Lewandowski's move to FC Hollywood, he has scored 230 goals in 275 games. Moreover, he has been Bundesliga's top scorer 4 times and has been the spearhead of a team that has won the last 5 titles. Could it get even crazier? Yes. Lewandowski is second in Bayern's all-time top scorer list. And while he won't haul in Gerd Müller, who scored a ludicrous 564, he is already putting distance between himself and is establishing himself as one of the greatest strikers ever. Did we miss any other memorable free transfer move in this list? Feel free to share this below. Or would you be interested in other top 10s? Please feel free to share your thoughts.